William, let's bring in our next guest, Elizabeth Wolf from Wolf Recruiting. Elizabeth,
Hey.
how are you doing?
Good.
It's always so good to see you.
Thank you.
Wolf Recruiting, tell people exactly what it is that you do.
So I work with employers, small to mid-sized businesses who are looking for a strategic resource. So for example, perhaps they have a senior accountant or an IT specialist, network administrator, that position that they're looking to fill. And they want someone to go out and source that person for them. That's what I do.
So you're a headhunter.
I am.
People come to you and they're looking for a specific person.
Yep.
And do you already have a network of people that you know and you go, that one right there?
Most often, yes. However, sometimes, it's a very tight talent market. So, you're constantly out networking and building new relationships, and, you never want to leave a stone unturned.
Right. Now, how long have you been doing this? Because this is a different approach.
So I've been recruiting for over 10 years. However, I stepped into the world of self-employment, if you will, last year. So I'm a little over a year old in terms of my business.
So do you go to businesses and tell them, hey, this is what I do.
Right.
When you have a need, get a hold of me?
It's part of what I do. I've also been really blessed. A lot of my business is through referral. In fact, a great percentage of what I do is through referral.
Awesome.
So I really value sitting down with a business owner and understanding first, well, what are you trying to accomplish? If you've filled this position before, what worked, what didn't?
Right.
And understanding those pieces so that together we can figure out, okay, is this a good business match?
So you get the right person in there.
Well, yeah.
Because you don't want to put someone in there that doesn't fit the business.
No.
Right.
No. And it begins, too, with making sure it's a good match between me and the employer. Because,
They have to trust you first.
Absolutely. And that, that's a very subjective and personal thing. So while we'd like to think we get to work with everybody, it doesn't always work out that way. And that's okay.
Right.
Because I'd rather build relationships with clients who are looking for a long-term resource and what I don't do is take a cookie-cutter approach.
Right.
So I really want to target in on what they need.
After talking to the employers, sometimes do you go, well, hold on, maybe you think you need this, but maybe you need this?
Yeah, it can be a delicate conversation because you want to first be sure you're listening and understanding what it is they really mean. However, sometimes things are stated and it's not always what they say but what they don't say. And so yes, through what I call a discovery process, there have been occasions where I'll do the distilling and I'll think about it and I'm like, okay, well, I heard this, but like you say, well, what about this? And so I go to them and it's what I strive for is a very direct, open dialogue between me and the employer and likewise on the candidate side.
Right.
So that we're not wasting time and we stay focused. But yet, focused but flexible.
Right.
Because things can change.
That's key in business.
Yeah, and you can set out on a particular course of action, and I've had this happen, and so I'll go to the employer and I'll say, okay, we've done this, this, and this. However, I'm starting, based on the results or not, perhaps we ought to think about this. And then, or I'll ask them a question to drill down on something that maybe we didn't really call as thoroughly initially.
Or maybe they explained a little bit vaguely.
Possibly,
right.
possibly.
We talked about the employer. Let's talk about the candidates.
Right.
How do you come across these people?
I'm on social media a lot. I network aggressively with people that I know in the business community. And I do advertise. It's one of the reasons I like to stay connected with your show and your network here. Because
I'm constantly amazed by how many phone calls these small businesses get when they come on here. If there's people out there, you're not looking for unemployed people, really, right?
No, I'm not. While that was something that I did for many, many years, the employers who are hiring me are looking to hire by and large. I never want to rule out someone who might be actively available because sometimes the right person comes along at the right time and the right opportunity. However, by and large, employers that I work with are looking for someone who's currently doing that job somewhere else. And so it's me making those connections behind the scenes, respecting what they're doing, because you don't want to, I don't believe you can, and I hate this word, I'll use a nicer word. I don't believe you can recruit somebody out of a position where they're happy.
Right.
And why would you want to do that?
And here's the other side. I think you have to be a little bit wary of someone that comes in and complains too much about the job that they're doing.
Oh, no, that's a great observation. It's a real distilling process of understanding the motivations of each candidate. Well, if you're thinking of leaving, what's driving that?
Is it all everybody else's fault?
Well,
that kind of those kind of people.
It's not always that, but sometimes, having the crucial conversations internally with our current employer can be delicate, and so sometimes what helps people is to have a safe, confidential place. Maybe they haven't even gotten that far. They didn't realize that was an option.
Right.
And so if someone likes where they are, but they sense they might be at a dead end, I'm going to ask them, have you had that conversation with your employer? Have you exhausted that? Because the last thing where you want to find yourself is, we've all gone down the road, and I've presented you to my client. My client says, great, presents the offer. You put your notice in, and your current employer counters. And then I'm getting a phone call that says, well,
maybe I don't want to make a move.
And you know what? If you don't, you shouldn't. However, really want to try to mitigate that.
Sure.
And make every effort to keep that from happening at all, because it's just a huge waste of time.
And there's, in my world, there's nothing wrong with leaving your current job for a better job, for a better paying job, that you support your family a little better. I mean, that's what you work for. That's what you work hard for, is that you have your work recognized and hopefully get paid for it.
Well, absolutely. I hope, the Central Valley obviously got hit hard when the market collapsed. And while we're definitely seeing recovery, it's been slower than perhaps in other areas. So on the one hand, I really encourage employers, if you haven't taken a hard look at your retention policy, please do so, because the statistics are showing that employees will absolutely consider another option if they consider it to be in their best interests. And it's not necessarily driven by money, although what we've seen is that the annual increases are barely keeping track with the cost of living.
Right.
Whereas if I change jobs, chances are good I'm going to get a pretty decent bump, or the person will. So, it really behooves every employer to be taking a real careful look at what their employer brand is, how do their employees feel about them? Are they really your own best source of advertisement, or maybe there's some things you could do to enhance that?
Is there a certain type of employee that people are looking for in a broad scale right now?
Well, we're certainly
IT.
Yeah, no. Well, right off the bat, okay. IT and technology is consistently what we call a high demand profession, meaning it is unusual for there not to be great demand for people with those skills and background. Okay, accounting and finance. Oh boy, tax season is just around the corner.
Sure.
Believe it or not. So I have multiple openings within the public accounting arena for senior accountants, CPAs,
and not just taxes coming up right around the corner. This is a great time of year for getting audits and stuff like that. The things that people don't know.
Financial audits that will be coming up, and others. So, I have both tax, audit, and staff accounting positions here in Fresno, and I also have a great position in Hanford. So, again, but we're also seeing upticks in HR, marketing, customer service. It's all good signs. Makes our job a little harder, but all good signs.
Harder, but probably a little bit more rewarding too, though, right?
Absolutely.
If there's employers or candidates out there, and they want to get a hold of you, Elizabeth, what's the best way?
You can reach me by phone or by email. My phone number is 877-589-9441. That goes directly to me, so don't feel like you're going to get dropped in a hole somewhere. And then for short, my nickname is Elissa, Elissa, at Wolf Recruiting, WOLFRECRUITING
There you go.
.com. Had to think about that for a second.
You're a good speller, too.
Thank you.
Okay.
But look forward to hearing from people, and thank you. I appreciate being on the show.
It's always good to talk to you. Thank you what you're doing for the businesses and the people
Oh, well,
of
thank
Central
you.
Valley.
Appreciate it.
Hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stick around.